What defines a musician artist as being bold is not worrying about trends, not worrying about what record companies, managers, lawyers, journalists, peers feel about your work. You have to be instinctive in what you do and make sure those little ideas you get, you bring them out, whatever they may lead to. Some may be good, some may be bad, but truly to be bold is to follow your instincts. I've got too many influences to list. There isn't one artist who's had a major influence on me. Many, many artists from all genres. So I wouldn't like to name one particular artist. I'm influenced from any era, any time. I think striving to be like someone, you hope eventually by accident you may find your own voice. I've been very fortunate to have worked with a couple of legends in my mind. Brian Wilson was, he put on some wonderful backing vocals on one of my songs. I've worked with a man called David Axelrod, who's a fabulous arranger, producer. On the producing side, even on my last project, I went to the States and worked with a man, No ID, who essentially works with hip-hop and R&B artists, because for me that experiment seemed a worthwhile thing to do, to stretch myself musically. Playing live is for me is very instinctive, something that I wouldn't say I find easy, and the moments leading up to going on stage are the same for most performers. You know, there's a sense of being on a bungee jump, there's this incredible adrenaline rush mixed with nerves or what have you, but the moment you step on the stage, then something entirely different happens, and there's a real sense of release. Easy is not the right word, but I find it playing live very comfortable. Songwriting's something I spend more time on. It's just a whole other side of things and much more difficult. I think ultimately a stage act should be something that is instinctive and free. There has got to be a sense that this thing can fall apart, and unfortunately most musicians and artists, they get completely locked into the production side of things, which stifles a lot of creativity, because I think when we live in such a synthetic world, we are going to a live concert to see human beings, and human beings are vulnerable, and they're also got tremendous potential. So that's why a great live show to me is something that literally teeters on the brink of collapse or absolute ecstasy. There's a number of things I'd love to do. I'd love to go into a bit of production. I'd like to write for other people. Because I've got so many songs, not enough time to do them myself. And, you know, generally branch out into that side of things, perhaps, you know, seeing other people interpret my ideas. I'd like to talk about a band who actually aren't necessarily on the brink of big things because they're no more, but they're one of the unloved bands of the 90s. They were loved by the people who heard about them, but unfortunately they didn't break through. They're an amazing band called Acetone. They were from LA. We were fortunate enough to do a few tours with them back in the 90s. And through circumstances and timing, they didn't get the recognition they deserved, but I truly recommend that people go back to Acetone or Acetone, however you want to pronounce it, and check out their back catalogue, because they're one of the great, one of the biggest misses as a band in the history of music, as far as I'm concerned. I think the first record's magnificent. I remember the poor unfortunate guy from the record company coming to listen to our second single as a band, The Verve, when I was 20 years old. And I think they were expecting a 3-minute 30 single. It looked like we were going to chart quite high with our second single, and we played him back an 11-minute piece of music. And I think, although the words commercial suicide were mentioned, which I always think is an exciting phrase. Whenever anyone in a room mentions the word commercial suicide, you usually generally know you're onto something different. Although we didn't chart very highly and we didn't have much success with it, what it did was it set out our stall very early that we weren't going to be messed with, and if we thought a piece of music should be 11 minutes long, then it's 11 minutes long. I think all my decisions have led to where I am. Some good decisions, some bad. I don't look back and wish retrospectively like I should change them, because they've made the man I am now. So, you know, for me, a lot of my mistakes, it's a cliche, were there to be learnt from, and hopefully I have learnt from them. But ultimately, be as radical as you possibly can. Not just for radical's sake, but if you feel strongly about something, I think it's important to see it through.